Pretty fun main event to wrap up the night. What did you think about that fight?
I figured if that fight was bad, I just don't even know how it was possible. It's just, I knew that was going to be a fun fight. I didn't know how long it was going to go, but awesome.
What did you think about Stevens? I mean, Choi looked, I thought, very good early, coming out, being a year off, that sort of thing. It looked like he was controlling, and then Stevens just turned the tide. What did you think about Choi, number one?
He looked great. Choi looked fast. The leg kicks, he was chewing up that front leg so bad that he was, actually, Stevens was switching up. And then, Jeremy punches like a truck, man, and he's got a great chin because Choi hit him with some great shots, too. He took them and, and won the fight. We were just talking outside. He was saying how he's been here for 11 years. You know how tough you got to be here for 11 years? It's, he's a tough guy.
No doubt. This was a fun card, I think, from start to finish, but we had the week was kind of weird. I wanted to ask you about Uriah Hall. Have you had
actually just saw Zach Cummins out in the hallway too, with stitches in the back of his head, and he wants to turn right around and fight. He told me my CAT scan was perfect, but I don't like the idea of a guy who got knocked out by a tub. It's not even the fight, it's the sparring that he would have to do to get ready for his next fight. I think he needs to take a little time off, and told him we'd talk about it. And you know how fighters are. He's obviously such a goofy accident. He's so upset and wants to fight, but I think he needs to take a little time. Yeah. And then Uriah Hall, I have a very long relationship with Uriah. I like him very much personally, but the guys at the PI, the UFC PI, said he's the most, what's the word? He's the most. He doesn't take it serious. He doesn't take his training serious. He doesn't do what anybody tells him. He does his own thing. A week before the fight, he went to L.A. and was hanging out in L.A. in clubs and stuff. So, not good. So I'm gonna talk to him. He texted me tonight.
Do we know his health
he's
condition?
back at his room. Obviously, he's not good. And if you don't cut weight the right way and you don't do what you're supposed to do, this is what happens.
Dana, talk about the crowd in St. Louis. They were into it from the start.
The crowd was awesome in St. Louis. This place is so great, man. I love the crowd, and the whole place was screaming to me to bring a pay-per-view back here, and we will absolutely bring a pay-per-view back here. This place was awesome, and I loved it.
What kind of timetable are we looking at for that?
Well, we haven't left yet, so
we got to keep you here. We can't let you leave.
We'll be back next weekend. When we leave and get further on in the year and start planning new dates, definitely St. Louis is in the books. One of the great things that I loved about this city is, obviously it was a rough week for us, like we were talking about with the card changes. Not only did it not affect, the ticket sales went up. They didn't go down. There was no returns, and this city wanted the UFC, and they were an awesome crowd tonight, and I will reciprocate with a pay-per-view, and we'll be back.
What an incredible moment, the return of Matt Hughes. Can you just take us through kind of putting that together, keeping it under wraps, just the whole thing?
It was super emotional for me. Matt Hughes is a guy, much like Chuck Liddell, that's been to my house on holidays, and my kids hang with his kids, and we kind of grew up together in this sport, and tonight was a big night for me. And Dan Lambert, people in MMA know who Dan Lambert is, but he's very close to Matt Hughes tonight. So, we've kind of been keeping each other in the loop through this whole, horrible tragedy that happened with him. And for the three of us tonight to be together, and Matt's wife, it was awesome. Very, very cool.
Have you talked to Vitor yet?
I haven't seen her talk to Vitor yet, but we'll give Vitor a fight.
He was talking about maybe fighting in London.
Yeah, I know that's the fight he wants. He wants to fight Bisping in London. So.
And do you want?
That's the fight he wants, yeah.
No, do you
I don't know. We'll see. I still got to get back home and get in the room and figure it out. But I'm not opposed to it, no.
What about his show money? Did he get any or like?
No. We offered him a fight tonight. Vitor could have fought tonight. We got him a fight and offered him a fight. He turned it down. We also got him a fight in Boston, and he turned that down too.
Can you tell us against who was the fight?
Yeah, I don't. But Mick and those guys know. I just got back from vacation, so yeah. But yeah, we offered. Vitor could have fought tonight. He turned it down. So.
He didn't want to fight in Boston either.
And he didn't want to fight in Boston either.
But then, talking about the weight problems you had, man, we have the numbers, of the fighters that didn't make the weight since the early weighting started. It's about 51 fighters. And don't you think that's too much? Don't you think that's time to rethink about that? Or the
No,
fighters
what I
didn't
think
adapt it?
what I think they need to think about is fight at 205. Fight at 205 or
Fighting in another division.
or show up and do what you're supposed to do. There's ways to cut weight properly and safely. You need to start doing that. You know, that's why we are encouraging everybody to come to the UFC Performance Institute. These guys down there, all the people that go there and do what they're told to do and do it the right way, cut weight safely, and the guys who don't listen, this is what happens. And much like the Kelvin Gastelums and the Johnny Hendricks and a lot of other people out there, if you can't make that weight, then fight at a higher weight division.
Dan, kind of on that note, when we were talking about tying there earlier, the welterweight division, there's a lot of questions about who gets the next fight, that kind of thing. Have you thought about, or what kind of consideration do you give to maybe eliminating rankings? Because it seems like guys just want the money fight, not fighting number one contender, number two contender.
The only reason that there's money fights is because of the rankings. Guy gets up into the top 10, then a guy breaks into the top 5. When a guy breaks into the top 5, that's when everybody's interested in him. You know what I mean? And guys talk about money fights. It's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Yeah, you know what's a money fight? Any fight with Conor McGregor is a money fight. There's certain people, Ronda Rousey, any fight with Ronda Rousey is a money fight. Build yourself into a star, and you won't be talking about money fights. It's getting to a point where Conor McGregor has exploded and become so huge that, this whole money fight thing came about. And even if you're not fighting Conor McGregor, you want to be on Conor McGregor's card. Become a star. Don't worry about fighting Conor McGregor or fighting on Conor McGregor's card. Become a star yourself.
Speaking of,
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about the Meek versus Usman fight? What are your thoughts? What did you see it?
Yeah, it wasn't fun.
It wasn't, or was
No, it wasn't fun. I didn't think it was fun. They were booing through the whole thing, through his whole speech at the end, and the guy's tough. He's very good, but I didn't think it was a great fight.
What were you expecting?
I always expect the guys not to push up against the fence and lay on the ground and not try to do damage and finish them. I mean, Usman's calling out top guys. You just fought a guy that wasn't ranked and went to a decision, and the people were booing you at the end. I don't think that that's the right time to call a guy out after you just had a fight where they're booing you out of the stadium.
He said he'd like to fight Covington, and maybe they could be tough coaches. Would you be, think about that? I mean, they've got a little beef between each other. Would that be something you'd consider?
Yeah, I just don't think either one of those guys have done anything to really, cement themselves as tough coaches right now. Although beating Damian Maia is a very big deal. Very big deal. And after Usman's fight tonight, I just don't see those guys as,
What were your thoughts on Meek's performance?
Who?
Meek. How do you think he performed?
Yeah, listen, I thought everybody looked good tonight. I wasn't crazy about the Usman fight, but Usman did what he does, and, he won the fight. But, yeah, I thought everybody looked good.
Dana, we saw some reports this week about Khabib and Tony Ferguson maybe fighting April 7th in Brooklyn. Are you able to confirm whether or not that's the plan or the target right now?
Did we put out a press release?
You guys have not put out a press release, but there were some reports.
Then I probably can't talk about it then.
What about Amanda and Cyborg? What is the situation?
Yeah, that's the fight that I want to do. That's the fight that I want. So we're working on it. That's the fight. Amanda wants to fight her, and we're finally in a position where we can give Cyborg big fights with big name people and money fights.
She was campaigning though, saying that she doesn't want to fight Amanda, that she wants you to bring more girls to the 145 division to develop.
If there were more girls in the 145 division, I'd be doing it. You know what I mean? If there were people that, you have to understand too, at the end of the day, people want to see tough fights, and I just gave Cyborg probably her toughest fight in MMA, and now Amanda Nunes is no joke, and she wants to go. Originally, want to talk about 145 pounders, she was a 145 pound fighter. She was brought into Strikeforce to fight Cyborg, so it's just happening a little later than everybody had planned, and Amanda's ready, and that's the fight everybody wants to see.
There are some rumors about a card in Brazil in May. Is there anything you can tell about it?
Did we put out a press release about it? Then I probably shouldn't talk about it.
Where does the McGregor-Mayweather fight rank on your career accolades list?
Financially, huge. You know, it was a crazy fight to make. You know, people wanted to see it. We made it. Financially, it's the biggest thing ever. If you listen to the Weasel from Showtime and his bullshit, you know, first of all, they were only involved in the American pay-per-view side of it. But as far as, you know, the fight overall, it's the biggest boxing event ever. And one of the guys wasn't a boxer. So
would you do it again?
No, I don't want to do it again. I heard that Floyd Mayweather showed up last night at one of the nightclubs in Vegas with a Conor McGregor t-shirt on. You know, and I know these guys have been talking shit, but I want Conor to, you know, start training again and come back and defend his title.
What do you think about talking about cyber boxing against Cecilia Brækhus?
I don't like that either. I would like to see her fight Amanda, and you know, I've been talking about getting into boxing lately, but I want to see boxers fight boxers, and I want to see mixed martial artists fight mixed martial artists.
I know you've been on vacation, but are we any closer to having resolution with Conor, knowing that, you know, is he committing to a time?
Yeah, no, we haven't committed to a time yet, but, you know, as long as Conor wants to fight still, you know, Conor and I always get it done, you know. You know how Conor is. Conor wants to do things on his time and when he wants to do it, and that's fine. You know, I always say it. I respect the kid so much for what he has accomplished and what he's brought, but if he's not ready to go when it's time to go, the belt, I think he wants to come back in September. That'll be almost 2 years. And that's just not fair to the rest of the guys in the division.
So if that's the case, you got to strip them and let the other guys fight for the
let
real
these
title.
guys fight. And when Conor decides to come back, and if he decides to come back, then he would get the first crack at the title.
Nice. And last thing for me, there's no press release on it, but there was a report that you guys booked a date in Russia in September.
What? I've been telling you guys for a long time that Russia is a very important market to us, and I'm kind of, what's the word I'm looking for here? I'm kind of, I want it. I want it to happen, so, you know, we're goofing around out there trying to figure out what we can do.
Emil Meek, his future, can you say anything about it? About Meek's future?
Meek?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's a tough guy, man. He comes to fight, and, you know, going against a guy like Usman who does what he does so well, he looked good tonight. He you know, he fought a good fight. He did his best to try to keep the fight standing and get back to his feet. So yeah, no, I like the guy. I like guys who come to fight.
When will he fight again?
He just fought. I don't know. give the guy some time off.
Question for you in the back. I know you had talked to Kevin Ioli of Yahoo Sports about having, I believe, meetings in January and February about Zuffa boxing.
Right.
Have you had your January meeting?
No. I just got back from vacation a couple days ago. Actually, what the fuck? I just got home yesterday, and I flew here. No, Friday I got home, and I flew here Friday night. And then I go home. It's Martin Luther King Day tomorrow, and then I fly to Boston on Tuesday. So my assistant is getting all those meetings dialed in as we speak.
And any timeline, anything new you can tell us as far as Zuffa boxing goes?
Just I haven't had, well, I did have one meeting. I had one meeting, and I'm looking to knock out the rest in the next 2 months here.
Thank you, sir.
Or a month and a half. Thank you.
What did you think about the girls fighting tonight?
The girls? Yeah, there were some good girls fights. Irene is super tough, and that was a great fight. And yeah, Paige's fight was good. Yeah.
Is it a broken arm?
She said she thinks she has a broken arm, but I haven't heard any updates on what's wrong. I imagine if the arm was broken, we would probably know by now, but I haven't heard. Do you guys know Paige Van Zant's arm?
She was transported, but we haven't heard if it's broken.
Yeah, we haven't heard. Cool.
Okay, guys, thank you.
That it?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you. Thank you.